How's it going, guys? Rhino here, and this is going to be a fairly controversial video. I expect to see quite a few dislikes down, actually probably be down there. I don't know which side of the video it's on. Whatever, probably down there. But basically, I got a ticket today. I got a speeding ticket. I actually got it a while ago. It wasn't one of the situations where I got pulled over. It was one of the situations where I drove past one of those parked vans that has a radar gun on it and a camera, and it took my picture, and I got a ticket. And I am not here to complain that I have to pay $100-some. It wasn't a huge speeding ticket. It was just, $100-some dollars and not a huge deal. I'm not here to complain about that because, it's really not that big of a deal. It's just a speeding ticket. A lot of people have them, and it doesn't tarnish my record or anything. I'm not going to get fired from a company for that. That's not a big deal. My problem stems from the type of policing that is involved in something like this. So let me start off by saying that I am a huge supporter of the police. I think the police are a force for good, and even though there may be a problem with police brutality, that is something that I understand that is something that is hard to address because it's a life or death situation for almost all police officers in a situation where they kill someone. And they have to think like that. And so I am someone who would say blue lives matter or cops' lives matter. I think cops are good people. They want to get through the day and get home to their families just like everyone else does. If I get pulled over, which I have been, I cooperate to the full extent. I listen to every single thing he says, and I try to make the stop, the police or the pullover or whatever you call it, the traffic stop. God, I didn't know how to word that. I make the traffic stop as peaceful and safe for both parties as possible. That is how you treat a police officer with respect, and I do respect police officers. However, there is a stark difference in what is going on, what people are complaining about police, and what I'm complaining about. What I'm complaining about isn't police brutality. What I'm complaining about is the difference between correct policing, in my opinion, and letting the power get to your head. So I'm going to set this up with an example. One example is actually the time that I was pulled over, the only time I've been pulled over, actually. I've been pulled over once, which wasn't the time I got a ticket, and then I got a ticket now. Here's the difference between the two situations. The situation where I got pulled over, I was driving late at night in a college town where there's potentially a lot of drunk drivers. It was kind of rainy out, but not like super rainy, and it wasn't unbelievably slick. It wasn't like any bad situation or anything like that, but it was pretty dark and a little wet. I was at a light, and the light turned green, and I sped up as if I was going to go, because I typically speed up to the speed limit pretty quick, and then I don't really go a ton over. So I'm not like shooting up to 50 miles an hour. It's like the speed limit's 35. I'm getting up to 40 pretty quick. Something that's not super insane. And I did that, and my tires started spinning. I slowed down, but they kept spinning. So I was literally just sitting there, my tires are spinning. And so then they finally caught, and I went off. And I sped up to 40 pretty quick, and went around a corner and then got to the next light, and I looked behind me, and there's a cop sitting behind me. I kind of knew instantly that he was going to be coming after me because typically if you spin your tires, then you're going to get pulled over. Right after the light turns green, I pull forward a little bit, and lo and behold, he flicks his lights on and pulls me over. Now, this officer was unbelievably respectful. He asked me why I spun my tires. He asked me why I was driving fast. The reason why he pulled me over wasn't because I was driving fast or because I was creating a dangerous situation, because I actually wasn't, despite the fact that I was going over the speed limit in a not super favorable time. He pulled me over because he thought I was drunk. That is a great reason to pull me over. I 100% respect his decision and respect his right to pull me over there because I was exhibiting behavior that could be construed as drunk driving in a place where there are a lot of drunk drivers. And if I was drunk, I could have killed someone. Drunk driving is a serious issue, and that needs to be dealt with. So he pulled me over. He starts talking to me, and he quickly realizes I'm not drunk. So he lets me off. He doesn't give me a ticket, despite the fact that I was going over the speed limit and spun my tires. Because he saw a situation where there was potential danger, which is pretty much any time a traffic stop happens, he realized that that danger wasn't present and let me go. That is good policing. That is a great police officer, and I believe that there are a lot of good police officers like that, because he is evaluating the situation, despite the fact that technically, yes, I did break the law. I did commit a crime. He didn't feel there's a need to ticket me because there was no unsafe doings there. He realized it was a not perfectly safe situation because you can always make the argument if you go slower, you're safer. So you should go 5 miles an hour or whatever. But he realized that I was safe in that situation, and so were people around me. Now, the time that I got my ticket a couple days ago when I was driving, let me explain this situation. So this was on a hill. This was in an unfamiliar area, by the way. It's near where I work, and I took a different route to get to Subway, I think it was. And so I was at a stop sign, pulled through the stop sign, and I go down a hill. And it go down a hill and around a corner on a 25. This is a 25 mile an hour street, and I was going 42. That's what the radar had me going at, which is 17 miles an hour over the speed limit. That is quite a bit over the speed limit. Sounds like I should get a ticket, right? Well, let me explain a little bit more. Number one, like I said, it's going downhill, which means that it's a little bit harder to judge your speed. I actually wasn't trying to speed. I wasn't trying to go fast there. I wasn't even pressing the gas. I was just sailing down the hill, or cruising down the hill. I wasn't using the gas pedal at all. Next, to realize that it goes around a corner, but it is a very gradual corner. The visibility is actually great. Had someone even been trying to kill themselves by hiding behind a car and throwing themselves in front of me, I would have been able to see them because the visibility was that good. It was also a clear day, sunny, no rain, and it was the middle of the day and very light traffic. The area that it is taking place in is an area that is actually almost an exact match to an area nearby where I live, where there's an apartment complex off to the side, but it's kind of like not necessarily like right there. And it doesn't seem like a super child-friendly area to like hang out in. Like it's not an area where there's going to be kids playing because there's not really space to play, really. There's not going to be kids playing near the street like there would be in a neighborhood where you should be going 25 miles an hour. In the exact same area that's near where I live, the speed limit is 35 miles an hour. Going 42 into 35 seems a lot safer, and I can safely say, and I would be happy, I mean, I'm not going to do this because this is kind of weird, but I'd be happy to record a video going through that area where I got the ticket and showing you guys that it is actually a very safe area and the speed limit should be 35 miles an hour. Now, once again, I'm not debating saying that I shouldn't get a ticket. I'm saying that I'm talking about the policing here. Yes, I did commit a crime. I'm going to pay the ticket. I'm not going to fight the ticket. You know, everything perfectly fine there. But the officer who wrote the ticket should be sympathetic, or at least he should be willing to examine the situation and see where the ticket took place and all those factors that were involved, and not give the ticket, or at least reduce it, because there is nothing unsafe about what I was doing. Despite the fact that I was going 17 miles an hour over the speed limit, going 42 miles an hour is not an insane speed, especially in that area. And if you're going 42 miles an hour, you have great control of the car that you are in. I actually had amazing control in the car. The car has great steering and great brakes because it's a relatively new car. Had anything happened, had someone jumped out in front of me, had someone veered in front of me, had there been something that fell on the road, I would have been able to get out of the way easily. There was no danger to myself or others. And I can say that with a certainty, but I guess I can't really. To a lot of people, I need evidence, and I can't really provide any evidence, so I apologize for that. I'm just making claims, but I'm explaining the situation and hopefully doing a pretty good job of that. But there was no potential harm for myself or others that is exponential compared to what would have happened if I was going 25 miles an hour. Therefore, yes, I actually do believe that the ticket I shouldn't be getting a ticket. I believe that is over-policing. Whoever was writing that ticket is not worrying about safety. They're worrying about, hey, you know, I might have a ticket quota that I need to reach. Or, hey, I feel like ticketing this person because so-and-so. I'm having a bad day. I want to ticket this person. It had nothing to do with safety. And that is where I believe there is a problem with some policing. Police should always examine a situation for all the safety factors involved to anyone involved, including the perpetrator, but also those around them, and seeing if it's something that should be ticketed or should be sought after at all. Because there are times where something is technically, yes, against the law. But does that actually mean they should be pulled over? One of the best ways to explain this is a freeway. Now, this depends on where you live entirely, but where I live, the speed limit on freeways is majority 55 miles an hour, sometimes 65 miles an hour. But no one goes 55 miles an hour. In fact, as I get closer to my college, where the speed limit is 65 miles an hour, most people are going 85 miles an hour. Like, that's the flow of traffic, is people going 85 miles an hour. That sounds like a lot, but it's actually not. If you have ever driven 85 miles an hour on a freeway with other people going that speed limit or no cars around at all, there is actually no danger. You have great visibility. You have that reaction time if you need it. Now, there are problems if you were riding someone's ass going 95 miles an hour, but that's completely different. I was not doing such a thing. I had great visibility and I would have been able to stop. Same thing on a freeway. If it weren't for police and me worrying about getting a ticket, I know I could safely drive 85, 90, 95 miles an hour without getting in a crash because I know how to adjust to the traffic and conditions around me to drive safely. And a police officer should be able to realize that. And they should examine that in each individual situation. Now, once again, let me reiterate, I respect the police. I believe the police are a force for good, and I thank every single police officer for their contribution to protecting our society. But please do that. Protect and serve. Protect us. Don't let the power get to your head. That's about it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to comment, rate, and subscribe, and as always, have a nice day.